We have a Q&A on the CU podcast, Ian.
We do.
This is from at the completely unnecessary account, the unnecessary fan. They're coming at the number one status. We're getting a lot of good questions recently here. Coming at the GOAT. That ass. At what point does a game cross that fine line between being inspired by an existing game or being a total ripoff? Some people are calling indie game Hocko Life an Animal Crossing clone.
Yes, and it absolutely looks like it. Right down to like arriving via train and writing letters, fishing. The world looks the same.
You're in a town.
Yeah. We were kind of asked about this topic once before with the, I don't know if we actually talked about it. I don't think we did, but there was that Enchanted Portals game that was announced.
Well, I thought we spoke about that.
Which is a run and gun shooter that is utilizing a rubber hose animation style.
Yeah,
similar
like late
to
20s,
Cuphead.
early 30s animation style.
Right. And, it's in both instances, it's one thing to obviously take inspiration from, but yeah, you're leaning pretty close into, rubber hose style is not very common. And then you mix it with a run and gun. It looks like it's obviously trying to get some traction off of looking like Cuphead.
Well, plus the boss mechanics were similar.
Yeah, the boss mechanics were very similar. So, you could have done, and I'm going to get to the Hocko Life in a second, you could have done something like that. That was rubber hose style and even a run and gun, but it was aped so closely that yes, it's dangerously into that weird knockoff territory. And this Hocko Life is kind of that same thing.
It's just, so the trailer shows you in the house. You're talking to this bear named Pepper. You're designing, decorating your house.
The characters, and I would say this is even more so.
This is closer than Enchanted Portals.
Yeah, this is than Enchanted Portals was. I mean, the characters look very similar. You are
gardening.
Yeah, this is Animal Crossing almost to a T, and they're obviously trying to reach that untapped market because Nintendo stuff does not come to PC. I would feel pretty comfortable calling this an Animal Crossing ripoff. There's room for it, but it's certainly not its own unique thing.
So this,
I think, goes a little bit beyond inspiration.
It's a knockoff.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't do it legally.
Right.
It's a knockoff. It's not. It's beyond inspired by. It's a carbon copy. So
for me, I think to answer the question,
it's going to be on Steam.
To answer the question more specifically, I think for me it comes down to when you have the same gameplay mechanics and the same art style as something. You can have the same gameplay mechanics as Animal Crossing,
or the same art style,
or something different. Yeah, and not have not necessarily be a knockoff. For instance, there's a PC game that was talked about a bit last year. I played it recently. It's called A Short Hike. And it looks like an Animal Crossing fan game because the graphics look very much like Animal Crossing, but it's a little adventure game. It does enough of its own thing to not fall into an Animal Crossing knockoff territory. The gameplay is not the same, but when you take something that has like a hyper specific form of a type of gameplay like Animal Crossing, and then you mimic the art style on top of it, yeah, it's a knockoff.
Was there this much? I don't know much about the different games, but Stardew Valley versus Harvest Moon, were people complaining about that when that happened, or was there enough differences that people?
I think there was enough differences, and I think also it comes down to again, you're not aping every aspect,
every single
of it.
thing.
Right.
We're taking the genre and we're making it our own. This is obviously people downvoted it. This trailer has more, almost as many downvotes as upvotes. But then, hey, it's good publicity for the game because people are now looking at this or we're talking about it because it's a clone.
Right.
And people might buy it on Steam, and maybe they get their fix on PC, and maybe they don't have a Switch.
And also, there's nothing. If it comes out and it's good, and you can't play Animal Crossing, or you don't want to, and maybe this will do its own things. This is an option for you, but yeah, it's hard to get past the fact that it's trying so hard to be everything Animal Crossing in all but name.
You make your own clothes in this. Could you make your own clothes in? Okay. You're fishing. We know you can fish in the other one. Wish list on Steam. This is complicated because they're not doing anything illegal. They're not using any assets from Nintendo. Obviously, Nintendo would shut this down in a half a heartbeat if it was anything even remotely illegal. This would be gone from the earth. So Yeah, to me, this is complicated. I feel bad when I see these things being done by these companies, and I don't know what else this company has done. I'll look them up right now on Steam.
Well, my thing is, I don't want to like. I mean, if they're truly passionate about it and they're having fun, I don't want to come off as like rude, because I mean, there could be a lot of heart in it. This could be coming from a genuine place.
I just don't see why people would take offense to this when they are then fine with, fans doing like the their own Pikachu games or Pokemon games. Like, how is that better than this when this is at least its own game? Yes, it's a clone, but it's not just ripping assets directly from Nintendo.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't square that in my head. Now, you can make the argument that I always make this argument, especially with the fan games. You have the talent to do this game. You should have the talent to think of something bigger and better, different.
Right.
And that's what's always frustrating me.
Think of your own, like use a different art style that's a bit more adventurous. That's not so close.
This is a one-man gang doing this game.
Right. That's what it says.
This is a one-man gang. So it's obviously this guy loves
Animal Crossing.
Loves it. So why not do the own game? Nintendo's not going to put it on Steam if he doesn't see anyone else. The guy's hustling. I can't hate the hustle. I just wish, to your point, he changed it up enough. But then maybe he wants to attract that Animal Crossing audience that wants to play it on Steam. I don't know. It's interesting situation. More like this. You go down in The Sims 3 Stardew Valley in a game called Temtem. Now, what is that like? Is
Temtem is an online. That got a lot. I'm surprised we didn't cover it really. It's an online MMO Pokemon clone.
Oh, the intro, some good animation.
Yeah, good info, or good animation. Nice graphics.
All right, well, don't kill. I would have said to kill this guy. He's not doing anything illegal. Think of it as a glorified fan game that he can sell. And don't worry, Nintendo. If he was doing something wrong, like I said, Nintendo would cease and desist him yesterday. It would have happened.
Oh yeah,
it would have been gone. Nintendo's not going to be hurting for money from the next Animal Crossing either. They're okay
right
here.